Hello, guys. Today we're gonna talk about the movie 1917. And I saw this movie in theaters a little over a week ago before the whole craziness started. Um, movie first. The movie was released in 2019. It's rated R. It's hour and 59 long. On 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb with about 207,000 ish user votes and 78% on Metacritic without 57 critics. Stars Dean Charles Chapman, who was in Before I Go to Sleep, and George McKay, who was in Captain Fantastic, and it's directed by Sam Mendes, who did Skyfall. On Rotten Tomatoes, the movie has 89% by critics with 415 critics, and 88% by audience with about 42,000-ish user audiences, and the critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes is at hard hit and an impressive technical achievement. 1917 captures the trench warfare of World War One with raw, startling immediacy. Now, I'm going to say this right now. This may be one of my favorite movies, especially and probably up there with some of the best movies I've seen in theaters. Now, I seem to say that about a lot of movies I see in theaters, but this one just I can't think of any way to improve this movie. It did a thing in it that I was kind of surprised they did. Because based on the trailers, I wouldn't have guessed that, but I kind of liked it. And by the time the movie ended, I didn't question anything. The whole movie felt like, it felt like, it felt like I was going on a trip. I felt like I was in the passenger seat with within this world of World War One, and to see what everyone goes through in this movie, the good guys and the bad guys, and what they had to do, what they had to go through, the peril, the stakes, and the fact that this stuff did happen. This stuff was based on the director's granddad, I believe. He was a World War One veteran. His job, I read this, I believe, was delivering messages across the areas of war, which is incredibly dangerous. And the whole movie was based on stories he told them based on his experiences, like told his experiences that he had during that time. So a lot of the stuff did happen, maybe to different people, but they all did happen. So that they all had to go through that, had to do all these things, and seeing these guys go through all of it and these characters, it's very intense and it's very you're with them the whole way. You're with those characters and you want to see them get the job done. And it's just so well made. The cinematography is excellent. This movie did win Oscars, and I believe one of them was in cinematography. Um, Damn, I think it could have won Best Picture in all honesty. I forgot what did win Best Picture in all honesty. Um, Actually, you know what? I'm going to look that up right now, actually, because I think I want to know who won Best Picture this year. Parasite won Best Picture. I guess. I mean, I haven't seen it. I heard it was fantastic, but I don't know. There's something about this movie. It just feels like it just hit me in a way that I don't know how to describe it. I mean, everything in this film was top notch. The acting, the writing, the cinematography, the direction. I mean, there was not any issue with this movie whatsoever. a flawless movie in my opinion. I mean, even if you nitpick, I don't know what you could find. I don't know I don't know what you could say. I mean, I can guess what some people may say about a certain thing that I mentioned earlier, but even then it's like if you change that thing, it changes the movie and it kind of changes lots of things. And I don't know it would be better or not. I mean, it's hard to say, and in all honesty, I don't need to know if it's better. It's great the way it is, and yeah, I just don't really think I don't know what else to say about this movie. I think it captures World War One to a degree that I don't think really any movie captures. Because anytime we see a war movie, it's always either the Civil War, World War Two, or Vietnam War. You don't see Revolutionary War a little bit. Really, a lot of the wars get on covered, but World War One. I know Wonder Woman did that a bit, and they did a decent job capturing the brutalness a little bit, but it wasn't. It was but I don't think. But this movie's different. This movie is more realism. Um, I think there might have been another one. I read that somewhere that Passive Glory. I read that was a World War One movie, but I don't quote me on that. I think I read it somewhere when I read about this movie trivia and stuff that an influence was like that movie because it was also based on World War One. But don't quote me on that. I could be completely wrong. For all I know, Passive Glory could have been about World War Two. I have no idea. I haven't really I haven't seen that movie. I haven't looked into it much, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, World War One is just an incredibly brutal war that doesn't get looked at a lot. And I think a lot of it's just due because it just led to World War Two. And World War Two gets a lot of coverage just because I think a lot of intense stuff was happening. Because you got access, the access powers, you got Hitler, you have the horrible Holocaust. You have the nuking in Japan that we had to do. We got Pearl Harbor. It's just a lot of shit went down in that war. In World War One, a lot of shit went down in World War One too. But it's I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't get more coverage. In all honesty, I just think I think when World War One was a big thing, the the major topic, the war to end all wars, cinema wasn't a thing. And even when it did become a thing, I don't know how often I don't know how prevalent war movies were because I think people went to movies to escape from that. And they didn't want to see that in movies. When World War II happened then though, it it definitely it was so big and movies were a big thing. So I think you saw more war movies from World War II and then Vietnam War happened. Of course, we saw movies from that because it was such a controversial war. I mean, so between those two and the time period they took place and what cinema and everything was at the time, they got a lot of representation. I think World War One didn't just because a lot of cinematic representation just because it would happen during a time where that wasn't a thing. But but yeah, but World War One that was a brutal war, and seeing this movie just makes you realize what they had to go through, and you just can't help but just watch and just be like, man, I hope you're with them. You want them to make it so bad, and yeah, I do. I if someone wanted to leave a comment on what they like and maybe a flaw in the movie, I would like to hear it because I am curious if there is anything that someone didn't like about the movie. Because no movie is flawless. Every movie has something. But yeah, this movie is just great. And I've seen a decent amount of war movies. I haven't seen everything. I've seen The Patriot is a war movie. Patriot takes a lot of liberties though. I've seen Platoon, I think, is still my favorite war movie. But I have to rewatch it again. Um Full Metal Jacket was awesome. And Apocalypse Now was awesome too. I think what holds Full Metal Jacket back, if I was gonna nitpick on something, is that it it's not really spoiling anything by saying this. It feels like two movies in it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Apocalypse Now is a very trippy movie, so it might fall along some lines there. Um, Born on the 4th of July, I think that's a war movie, but it's kind of more of a biography movie because the whole movie, not the whole movie, takes place in war, although it does play a huge part in that. I don't think The Deer Hunter you could classify as a war movie too, because same thing. Now a large chunk of it takes place outside of the war area. Um, Sorry, but yeah, that's a whole topic itself. The best war movies, because war movies are tough. Because if you're gonna do a war movie, you gotta be careful because it's you gotta do it right. Because if you do a war movie and then you do terrible at it, you're gonna it's it's not gonna hold up because people aren't gonna like having something as serious and legit scary as war be represented in a terrible way. I mean, I know there's been like comedies that took place within war, but you gotta have some talent to pull that off. That's a tricky thing to do. I know Tropic Thunder kind of tries to do that a little bit, and they did it very well. It was a good movie, but I haven't seen it in a long time. We're kind of going off track here with 1917, but basically, it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. I do believe it's still in theaters, but with the coronavirus going on, see it at your own risk. I don't know if they're going to be open theaters. I think a lot of them are closing down, especially in Michigan. So you may kind of be stuck not being able to see it for a while. But if you get lucky, it's a great movie to see. Um, it's a great movie to get lost in. It's a great movie to get emotionally invested in. It's just such a sound movie, and yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's without a doubt probably one of the favorite movies I've seen recently. Um, Probably if I'm gonna say standalone movies, it's probably one of the best. Not counting the Avenger movies, because the Marvel movies, they're kind of grouped in together. They're not I don't count them as separate things. But yeah, 1917 is a great movie. I know we have two viewers, which is cool. Um, no comments though, which is fine. Not everyone it some people just want to watch a video, which is cool. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. So unless there's some people wanting to chat it up, I'm probably gonna end it here. In case you're just joining in, you can rewatch the video on YouTube, hear my thoughts, and you can share your opinions, conflicting or similar, in the comments. And we also have a Discord, which is on the links about the about page on the channel. What up? 1970 is a dope show, bro. Oh yeah, on that herb. I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, it was an amazing movie. It's one of my favorites, and I've seen quite a few decent amount of war movies. Not all of them. A lot of a lot of Vietnam War movies, which is a very it's I feel like depending on the movie kind of determines depending on the war that you choose to cover in a movie will determine what kind of movie you do, because because each war kind of has its own identity based on what people went through and what they told when the war was finished. And it's a very good movie. I definitely think it's something people should see, that for sure. I would almost call it essential viewing. I would dare say that because it covers World War One super well, in my opinion. And I just I don't and yeah, I don't really yeah. Yeah, it's compelling as hell. It sucks you in, and you just are with the main characters throughout the whole thing. And it really, really makes for a very enlightening trip into that world. And it does make you realize how lucky we have it now, because back then, I mean, not only was World War One going on, there was, I believe, if my memory serves me correct, there was also like another disease going around too that played a huge part in a lot of deaths during that time as well. And that was a big thing too. It was a very hardcore time to live in. And if you survive that time, I think you could probably survive anything, in all honesty. But yeah, it's definitely a good watch. I would dare say it's one of the better movies I've seen in a long time. And that doesn't include the Marvel movies. Because Marvel movies are they're kind of I kind of group them in as one thing. But in terms of movies that are just standalone, that they're not part of franchises or sequels or anything, this is the best one I've seen in a while. And I do hope the guy who made this, Sam Mendes, I hope he continues to make good movies. Um, I hope in the future more kind of one and done movies take place, because sometimes I feel like movies kind of get sucked into being like, okay, we have to have a sequel, we have to be a trilogy, we have to spawn a universe, a franchise, and it's like you don't have to do that. Just focus on making a good movie. Just write a good story and see where that takes you. If it leads to something long term, that's great. If it's just a one and done thing, it's a one and done thing. And that's fine. It doesn't need to be this big epic thing, because that's the mistake a lot of studios have been making, is they're trying to do this thing like the Dark Universe, for example, that Universal tried to do with their monster movies, and that didn't work because, well, they didn't do it right. They just didn't make good movies. Um, but that's the thing about Marvel and DC, because even though DC stuttered for a little bit, they regained their ground because they played to their strengths, which is just letting guys have creative freedom over their characters and not worrying about whether they connect to something or not, and whether they use the official canon actors and characters, or if they take things in a different direction. While with Marvel, of course, we all know about Marvel's way of doing things, and it's great too. So between those two things, they're both comic book stuff. It's going to be hard to make a universe that isn't based on a comic book company or franchise or something. Because what else can you do? The thing about those series is that comic books just a wide range of stories and of years and years of blueprints of characters and stories that you can do anything with, and they're still making them today. And it's just an untapped oil resource that hasn't been fully realized until 2008 when Iron Man came out. I mean, sure, there were superhero movies before, but they were never really connected. They had sequels and stuff, but there was never like this massive thing. But yeah, I got a little off track. But yeah, 1917 is a great movie. I definitely recommend it. Definitely check it out, guys. And yeah, I do hope to see more great movies like this come along. I do think there needs to be, because the thing with this movie, I think what makes this movie also great is that not only is it great in a lot of areas, it's also an incredibly watchable movie. Like if like it's not a hard movie to follow at all. It's a very easy movie to follow. It's not it doesn't the story itself isn't really that complex. And that helps because it doesn't need to be complex. So anyone can watch it and anyone can get invested in. It's a movie for kids. Oh, no, this is not a kid movie. This is an adult movie. This is an R-rated war movie through and through. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They do not censor anything. But they don't get exploitive either. They keep it's all really in best taste. They show what they artistically show what they have to show when they have to show it. It never feels unnatural. It feels like a genuine war movie about people's characters' journeys to try to do the right thing. If you've seen the trailer, you can tell what it's going to be about. And there's not really giving anything away there. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. If you wanted to catch the whole video, just watch it back. In terms of the next stream, I don't know. Um, it's gonna be a while because I don't know what's gonna be coming out in theaters. I don't know when this quarantine thing gonna be lifted, at least in Michigan, and I don't know what I'll be streaming next. Because so far I've only been streaming either this or channel updates, and I haven't streamed the last couple channel updates just because of internet issues. Because I use my phone as a hotspot for this because the home internet sucks terribly, and with the channel updates, I had to talk to Mike while I do the streaming, and that's too much on the phone. So it's gonna be a bit since until the next stream, but keep an eye out. Worst stuff will still be uploaded. You won't see a slowdown of content by any means. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna end it here. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.